Hey, what is going on YouTube? Welcome back to Team VRY. And so we've had the regular iPhone 15 with us for some time now. And in this video, I just want to share with you guys my thoughts on the phone so far. Let's get started. Alright, so at this point in time, if you're after a really premium iPhone, then you can of course get the iPhone 15 Pro, which is Apple's top tier device at the moment. On the other hand, if you are after a relatively new iPhone and you want something a bit more affordable, then you can of course get the iPhone 15, which we're going to take a look at in this video. Now, of course, we have covered the 15 Pro, and I'm going to leave a link to that video in case you want to watch it. But for this one, I just want to share with you guys my thoughts on the 15 and whether or not it's worth getting, especially if you're thinking of upgrading. With that said, let's get to the video. Now with the iPhone 15, you are of course getting some upgrades, such as the updated new design. We now have a matte back on the 15, which is a nice change in design as compared to the glossy rear panels on older iPhones such as the iPhone 14, iPhone 13, and so on. Thanks to the slight curve on the edges, it also feels a bit slimmer now, and overall it's just a really nice phone to handle. I'm a big fan of the matte design, and if you get the black version, it comes with a really cool minimalist look. Of course, with the updated design, you also get the dynamic island, which was first exclusive on iPhone 14 Pro models. So if you get the 15 or the 15 Plus, you're going to get the dynamic island and all the good stuff that comes along with it. It's not exactly a groundbreaking feature, but it's finally nice to say goodbye to the notch design, which Apple has used for so many years on its devices. And since we are talking about upgrades, we also finally get USB-C connectivity on the iPhone 15. So it's not a Pro exclusive feature. You can also get it on the base models. And if you have a ton of USB-C cables for your other devices, then they of course will be compatible with the iPhone 15. Now Apple does include a braided USB-C cable with the new iPhones, although it does advise users from using Android USB-C cables, which I think isn't really something to be concerned about. I've tried using the 15 and the 15 Pro on a Pixel USB-C cable, and so far they were fine. So yeah, make of that what you will. Of course, we also get a higher resolution 48 megapixel lens, which is a big upgrade from the 12 megapixel sensor that Apple used on the 14, the 13, and so on. The higher resolution sensor does allow for more details in your photos. And yeah, so far I've had a good time taking photographs with the iPhone 15, although they do tend to lean a bit towards darker tones with a bit of additional contrast compared to photos from other smartphones, like say the Pixel series, for example. And also there's 2x portrait mode, which is another welcome feature on the base model iPhone. And yeah, camera has been good so far, and I can probably say the same for the battery performance. Now we've had a lot of battery and overheating issues with the 15 Pro models recently, and so far I can say that fortunately I haven't experienced any of these on the regular 15 model. Now the battery generally lasts me for around 24 hours with moderate use. I can get maybe around 4 to 5 hours of screen time, and overall it's a solid performer. But of course, as with any other smartphone, it's not a perfect device. And there are of course some factors to consider with the iPhone 15. For one, there's no dedicated telephoto lens, so you are stuck with the main camera and the ultra-wide sensor, and depending on your needs, it's going to be something to take into consideration. Personally, I've never used telephoto lenses that much, so it's never been something that bothered me. But of course, with other users, you might prefer a third telephoto sensor on your iPhone. Also, it still comes with a 60Hz display. So for around $800 or 800 pounds in the UK, you're stuck with a 60Hz display. Apple likes to keep the 120Hz ProMotion screens on the more expensive phones. It's something that I wish they'd put on the non-Pro models, since you can get 90Hz and 120Hz displays on much cheaper Android phones. And at this point, it's long overdue. Now, while I did have great battery life so far, the phone still tends to charge slower compared to other Android devices, even with the USB-C port. So charging speed is something that's going to vary from user to user. Some people might appreciate faster charging speeds on their phone, and with the regular 15, it's not going to come with ultra fast charging like on some Redmi or OnePlus or Poco devices. And yeah, it's another factor to consider. Of course, you also have to take note of the older chipset on the regular 15, so it does come with the A16 Bionic, which was exclusive to last year's 14 Pro models, but Apple has finally included it on the regular 15 this year. Personally, I don't really find an issue with it. The A16 is still a reliable chipset, and if you're after the highest end performance, that Apple can offer, then of course you're going to have to spend a bit more for the 15 Pro, which does come with the newer chipset. And of course, you're not going to get the titanium build on the iPhone 15. This is something that isn't really bothering me. I'm pretty much alright with the matte aluminum frame on the regular 15 models. But again, if you're looking for the most premium in materials and processing power, then Apple does offer the 15 Pro models. Alright, so to sum things up, if you're coming from a much older iPhone, maybe an iPhone 11 or iPhone 12, then the regular 15 might be something that you'll enjoy. It does come with a ton of upgrades, such as the new USB-C port, the dynamic island, the somewhat newer chipset, and the larger main camera sensor. But of course, you do miss out on features like the lower refresh rate on the display and the not so fast charging. But yeah, so far I've been happy with the regular iPhone 15. In fact, I might just prefer this over the 15 Pro, but that's of course based on what I need from an iPhone right now. So yeah, let me know your thoughts about the regular iPhone 15 below. We're going to do a few more videos on this phone in the coming weeks. Don't forget to check out our other content here on Team VRY. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.